Hello. It's very nice to be here with you. Reverend Mary called me a couple of days ago while I was up to my eyeballs with second graders and grated potatoes, and we were making latkes for the school. And I was having so much fun. And I was so grateful to be asked to come and share my joy with you. Because this is a season where we often sing and think of and hear about and read about joy. And we yearn for it. And we have these moments of it. And sometimes we let ourselves get so busy, we don't remember that we're born for it. And that there are so many moments where we could lay claim to it. And we get too busy to live it. And so this song that Holly just sang, talking about, or I don't know what it was talking about, but what it felt to me was, peace within is joy. When I am able to be at peace with myself, no matter what, then that's a joyful moment. There's a lot going on in all of our lives. And some things we don't like and some things that are hard. And then, of course, there's the family dinners. And, and we're all in process. God bless us all. And we don't have to always like all those situations. But I've come to understand that I have to like myself in them. And if I can remember that, and I can do the call of that song, which is, find first the peace within me, then all things shall come unto me in just perfect order. And ironically, that's the nature of my ministry in Ukraine and here and in my life, with myself and with my family. It's about peace. And if you'd like to know any more about that, I'll just get the plugs out of the way and tell you that on the back table back there, there's a little card. And it says, if you practice peace first, in those moments when change is really pulling at you and when your doubt wants to grab a hold and gobble up your faith, if you can just choose peace instead, then you create conscious change. The change that's going to come anyway has a chance of being the change that is exactly perfect for you. So I invite you to take one of those, and if you want to practice it more in your life, Andy Anderson and Bonnie Anderson and I are doing 2 retreats this year. One here, the end of March, the last weekend in March, and one in Ashland, the last weekend in January, and there's a little flyer back there. And in this month's Science of Mind magazine are some of the most clear calls to peace and the consciousness of living in this wholeness that this teaching says we are, that I've read in a long time. And I wanted to read the whole daily guides to you this morning. I mean, I spent all last night reading them and going, I have to say that. So I'm going to leave it to you. But they're perfect. They're just perfect. And as I was traversing a very, very, very challenging situation in my life the past 2 weeks, in the past month and a half, these guides help me remember what my teaching is, which is to seek first the kingdom of heaven within. So I give that to you. So Reverend Mary is recovering from a cold. And I'm so grateful that she thought of me so I could come and share my recovery with you, my recovery of a bah humbug, or my recovery of, oh no, not another present, or, not another whatever. And just remember that we're born for joy. We are born to rejoice. We are born to feel life rejoicing in us. Can you imagine that that is so? Amen. Thank you. Yes. So as I was driving here today, I was wondering if I'd even look at my notes, or I'd be overcome by the song and forget everything else, or the prayer, or, and where did I put my Kleenex? Because heaven knows I always need it. And usually, in true to form, I was crying by the first stanza. And oh my God, I've lost it. Oh well. Oh well. Here we are. So as I was driving here today, being grateful for the life that I have, and being grateful that I was able to walk through this journey of mine in the past couple of weeks and couple of months and come out in joy, facing this biggest, bless your heart. You see, it's that simple. I didn't used to believe it. I used to believe it was hard, but it isn't. It isn't, unless you insist on it, of course, then it is. So I'm driving along this morning thinking about how grateful I am that I was able to get through this and come out with not only my faith intact, but my joy and my freedom and my inspiration. And today the talk title is Change is Birth. And the other side of it works just as well. Birth is change. I mean, you can't be born and be the same as you were. Every new birth. I mean, I don't know how many you've had. I've had hundreds, but probably 6 or 7 really significant ones. I just had one. So I'm driving along being grateful for how life works. And I look to the side and I see someone rolled in a plastic, big tarp of plastic under a tree. And I remembered being homeless myself with my 2 children. We had a car, made a big difference. I remembered how hard it is to be on the same journey that we speak about at this time of the year, that long journey to the birth. And I saw this person and realized that just like us, just like every one of us, that person is the pure spirit in form, just like me, just like you. And it's so easy to, like in the first service this morning, and I want to do it again, I asked us to think about Reverend Mary recovering from her cold. And, she's a robust woman, so it doesn't get her down for very long. But I thought, how wonderful to send her our love this morning. And I invite us to just do that, to bring into your heart the joy you have and the love you have for the life we have, and thank her for supporting us in this journey. And send her our love right now and let her know how special she is to us. Could we do that just for a moment? So let's do that. Bring it all in and let it move through you. And feel how good it feels to share with someone you love, someone it's easy to send your healing love to. And while we're in that tone, think about the person under the tree wrapped in the plastic, and send that very same precious love to that person. Because just like Reverend Mary, and just like me and you, there is the face of God. There is the wholeness of creation, doing the best it can on the journey to the birth of consciousness, to the birth of light. And so I ask you to take a moment to do that. And you can include whatever people in your life you would love to feel that way about also. And choose to feel that way about it now. There are people in our lives that we sometimes hold back with for one reason or another. It's time to just stop all that. Really. It's time to stop withholding our love. There's nothing that's worth that. So this is a powerful time of the year. The whole planet, in one way or another, is exploring this topic. Whether it's Hanukkah, or whether it's the earth-based spirituality, or whether it's Kwanzaa. We're all exploring the birth of the light and the changes that we have in our world today that make it seem like maybe it's too big of a dream that we can live in peace and love. But I know it isn't. It isn't too big of a dream. It is the story. It is our creation story. This birth story. This holy day story is our creation story. And it has been told forever, even with some of the same aspects. Why? Because it holds for us this archetypical story that says, when we are born, the wise men come and they celebrate, and the angels sing on high, and great gifts are brought to us to celebrate the light that is within us that is being born this day. And the whole universe, the sheep, the shepherds, the wise men, the stars, the whole deal shows up to honor the birth of the one that was prophesied as the Prince of Peace. Well, what if that's you? What if it's the person in the plastic? What if it's every one of us? That this story is told about us, everyone. It's easy to know that about each other. But what about the other? What about all those others that it's harder to feel that about, or that we're afraid to connect to, or we don't know how? I believe that this is our creation story, every one of us, the whole we of the world, all 7 billion plus of us. This is our story. We are all on our journey. We all have humble beginnings. We all don't feel prepared for the changes that are coming. We all don't know the glory that's within us. But when we know it about each other, it opens up into the collective consciousness that truth. And so what if, even though we didn't know it when we were born, the angels sang? What if they did? What if our little tiny infant self knows that? And then this life comes upon us that says, we're not enough, or we're too, or this much or that. And we forget. But what if this season is a season to remember that? To remember that we are the love of God. We are the Prince and Princess of Peace. We are the place where Spirit demonstrates its perfection. And even if at this moment in time we feel all wrapped up in a condition that is painful and we don't know our way out, and it's raining, even then, there is nothing but God happening. Even then, the gift of our life is calling us, divide, 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 come on. Even then. What if that were true? We sing that it is. We read and we write that it is. What if we really knew it? That's the call. That's the invitation today, to see the change as a birth of this kind of inclusive welcoming to all souls, so that if they don't remember that the angels sang when they were born, they'll remember when they see you. Before I found Science of Mind, I found my way to the Black Baptist Church in Santa Rosa, because I worked on a committee with Reverend Coffey, the Martin Luther King Committee, and I was a person that was involved in the community, and I went there, and he used to say, Barbara, what my wish for my life is as a minister, and there were a few white people in the community. I loved the music. I loved their heart. I loved their faith. He said, you know what my wish is? My wish is that when you see me, you see my Father. That's his language. When you see me, you see the God of my understanding. That's more like our language here, but it's the same thing. Change is upon us. We can't escape it. It always has been, but now it's a tad more visible, thanks to the internet and our brazenness. And how we handle this change really determines everything. We can fight against it, rail against it, wish it wasn't happening. But it is. You can't stop a birth. It will be born, God willing. There are times when it isn't. And I understand that. I understand the perils of birth. But there's something in this birth that wants to happen, and it isn't chaos. It isn't destruction that it's after. It's not after what it looks like it's after. It's not after the ultimate duality. It's after the one thing that we sing and talk about all the time, unity, heaven on earth. That's what it's after, in my heart and in your heart. The challenge holds the gift. Inside every challenge is the answer that you're seeking. And it takes such great courage to walk this walk. And that's why we come here. We come here to remember that we are divine beings filled with light, one speck of the light that is within you. If there was just a pinprick somewhere, it would beam out so brightly. So, having abandoned my notes completely, I want to just capture something of the essence. And that is, we're born for joy. And can we put aside anything that comes up today that feels unlike joy and look at it and say, joy wants to happen here. How can I let this be a call to peace in me so that I'm open to this joy? Because really, inside of every cynic, there is the greatest optimist in the world that's just disappointed. So today, suspend that disappointment and allow yourself to be drawn into the holy day spirit. And watch those kids delight. And feel the oneness that we have with everyone we see, no matter their condition. And remember what joy feels like to you. The birth is imminent, and you can feel it everywhere. And so, when I remember joys, the joys of my life, there's very few but very bright moments of true joy. And like it says in this book that we're studying, it was the best of worlds and the worst, the best of times and the worst of times. Joy often comes out of what seems like the worst of times. Let's not focus on the worst of times. Let's focus on the light that is within them that is asking us to create a new birth in ourselves. Let's see ourselves, our beloveds, and all of the others in the same heart, in the same vein, to see that radiance that life is within them. I know you've witnessed that radiance, you've felt it in moments, often moments of great danger or great sorrow. The radiance makes itself greatly clear. And it's an opening, as the book describes. The openings come and they say, look at me, look within, here I am, here we are. So this Christmas season, which I see as our creation story, our birth into consciousness, our birth into peace and love by choice. I see it as the greatest call there is. And even though I don't like that Christmas decorations go up before Thanksgiving and I go, meh, and then I get tired of all those Christmas carols, in this mind, in my right mind, I know that life is using everything to wake me up to what's really wanting to happen. Joy, a new life. And so wherever the birth is imminent in you, I invite you to walk into that challenge and let that birth be the answer to your prayer, because that's why the challenge is there. And so before I move to a spiritual mind treatment, I want to end with a little holiday poem one of my favorite people in the world and I wrote in 875 maybe. We did it line by line, one of mine, one of hers. We're all being called to build a new life. One that is free from struggle and strife. Impossible. That life just cannot be. Well, of course it's possible. Through you and through me. This brave new world needs our vision and our hope. Yeah, to build up the strength and do more than cope with the stress and frustrations that can build up each day and keep us from knowing that love is the way. This love is the answer. It's our birthright. And of this simple truth, we must never lose sight. And so it is written for the whole world to see. Goodwill to all, and on earth peace shall be. This is the truth, and I let it be realized through me this day. And so in speaking this word of spiritual mind healing, I know that there's only one life, and that life is God's life. And that life is perfect. For me, my life, and all life. All life, no matter the condition, everywhere, anywhere. It's the principle and it is the truth. And so I speak my word to believe it, to live it, to see it, to expect it, to celebrate it, to rejoice for it, even when it doesn't appear to be so, especially when it doesn't appear to be so. And I know that I am born for this, and so is each one of us. It's our creation story, to live on purpose for this life. So I accept it. I accept this gift. I awake and am willing to be born again into a new level of consciousness this day, where when I see anything unlike God, I release all pity, doubt, blame, judgment, worry, or any of the faces of fear, and I choose peace so that I can look upon any condition with my right mind. The mind that says, there is one life. There is one life. That is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is our life. Now and forever and ever.